I'm Kayla of Mushaboom Studio, and I'm going to walk you through some of the basic possibilities when building a website on Squarespace. So first of all, Squarespace is a website building platform. There's a few of those like Weebly and Wix, and they all have their limitations. No matter what you build on, there's no magical way to say, let's take what's in my mind's eye for my website and snap your fingers and it appears on a screen. It takes work, it takes coding, it takes finagling. And for site building platforms, a lot of the things that you might want might be just out of the scope of the platform itself. So I want to talk to you guys about what is possible. And then my next video is going to be the limitations that put us in a box, but also being put in a box can make some great things. So first off, we are on our website, Mushaboom Studio's site, and right at the top is a landing page video. This is something that you can put on Squarespace, and I really like them because they kind of endear your audience right away to what you're doing. If you are a videographer, you could put your reel at the top. If you have a co-working space, you could put a space video at the top. If you are a coach, you can put a short landing page video that kind of shows people your personality. One of the drawbacks to a landing page video is the load time. So I would recommend putting a landing page video that's anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. Any more, people aren't going to watch, and it cuts down on the loading time to have it in that window, but it still does have loading time. So what we always do is we put an image in while the site loads. So for ours, it's a floral image, and I will show you another example where we kind of did a workaround. So if you can see right here, right underneath our landing page video, we have a GIF. And so on Squarespace, if you put a GIF that's a small enough file in, you can put it in as an image, which means that you can put your loading image as a GIF. So I'm going to show you an example on how we did that one. So this is a site I did recently, and it's not up yet. It's not live yet, so you're getting a sneak peek, but you can see that we did a small loading image with her brand colors here. And gosh, isn't this real gorgeous? The rainbow sunflowers go with her brand colors, and it's just phenomenal. This is Lark Media's website. They're a beautiful media and videography team in Atlanta. And also, while we're here, let's just talk about their cookies banner because it's pretty customized itself. You can put a couple of touches on your website that make it not seem like your run-of-the-mill Squarespace site. And so some of the things that you can easily recognize a Squarespace site by is the way their forms look and the way their cookies banner look. They're this light gray or this dark gray, and that's about all the options. But you can go in and add touches of code that won't affect the user's ability to edit the site later. So you can see that we've done that here. We've made the cookies banner go from a dark gray to black, and it is a little bit transparent so you can see what's going on behind. So there's just all of these dynamic little touches that you can put on a Squarespace website to make it not feel so Squarespace, to make it feel more personal, more you. All right, back to my site, because I could sit there and watch her landing page video all day, and that would be unproductive for you. So you can see that there are a couple of things that you can do to lay out your website. You can do sections. I build websites on Squarespace 7.1. There are two versions of Squarespace that you can build on right now. You can build on Squarespace 7, which is the older version, or you can build on the updated version, Squarespace 7.1. And obviously that might change as I publish this video. But Squarespace 7.1 has some really easy dynamic ways to implement sections, and I'll show you what I mean by that, because our site has off-white and white as our section colors, especially in our homepage, so it's hard to tell what that means. But if you look at keeping the creativity site, this is the only site I'm going to show you that I actually didn't make. This is our virtual assistant. She's wonderful. Her name is Madison, and her Squarespace site uses sections in a lot of different colors, so I wanted to show you that as a way to differentiate what's going on down the page. You know, you can have a blog section, you can have a section where it takes you to your about page, all sorts of things. And then also on her site, I wanted to point out that she does a great job. She puts her Instagram feed on the bottom, and that is another function of Squarespace that is really easy to implement. Okay, so there's a couple of things that Squarespace can do, but it takes a little bit of knowledge, a little knowing the tricks of the trade. So if I were a newcomer to Squarespace, I would think there's absolutely no way for me to put text on a slider, and especially no way to put text on an image that slides to another piece of text on another image. And the latter is true. You can't put text on an image and then have a slider to another image with text on it unless you purchase some code to implement. And that might change the way that you have to edit later. So what we like to do is at Mushaboom, we like to put in code that has a smaller likelihood of affecting your editing ability as a human later. If you want to go in and change a copy or change the layout, it shouldn't really be too much that you can't change your website a little bit later. So this is a workaround without any code where we've created a text slider. So you can do it, you just have to know how. So we've used the blog function on Squarespace to create a title, and then also a quote down here, and that's the excerpt. So it's basically a blog entry, and then the blogs have a function where you can make a slider. And so this is really the only way to do it. And you can put an image on top of this if you wanted to put a thumbnail or a photo of the person who's saying the quote. That's just one way to lay out testimonials. There are lots of ways. You can put a quote in your portfolio page. Lots of options. So this is another function of Squarespace. You can add a piece to download. So let's say you want to give your audience a free workshop to give a taste of your services, or a wallpaper because you're an artist. You can add something that allows people to download something directly, and you can also prompt them for their email because nothing in life is free. All right. So this is another function of Squarespace that we love, is the fact that you can have pop-up forms. So that just saves you, like, this is kind of a long intake form, and we wanted to have the form on our homepage because we wanted it both on our homepage and our contact page. We wanted people to have such an easy time, like, filling out our intake form that it was crazy. So we put this little pop-up so that we didn't have to put the really long, busy intake form at the bottom of our homepage. So that's a cool feature too. So some of the things I was talking about earlier that are dead giveaways for what a Squarespace site was like, kind of looks like. Your newsletter is one of them. So you can see that we have this little dotted underline for the prompt box, and the prompt box has a little bit of Courier New font in it rather than the traditional brand font. We've tweaked all of these fonts, and also forms can be tweaked to make them look a little different. So you can see that underneath the bottom of our forms, we have a different font. So there's just a lot of little ways that you can make your site feel more custom to you and your brand. So another thing that I wanted to touch on was blogs are pretty big in Squarespace. And if you don't know what I mean by blog, what I mean is a blog in Squarespace is a page that hosts other smaller pages that are similar. Articles, or you can use it for other things. You can use it to display your team members. So basically, you can have a section on your homepage that has your team members, and it goes to a different page for each team member, and you can use a blog as a way to display those. So blogs have some cool features on the pages. For instance, you can tag blogs and categorize them so that they're easy to search for. And then you can display them and customize the way that their thumbnails and their titles look and appear. So this is our articles section, which our articles on Mushaboom are displayed in a blog. And then we have this page with a summary block, which is lingo for the way that you display pieces of a blog. But if we wanted, we could have a page that are only posts about photography, or only posts about design or Squarespace, and we can categorize them that way. So the blog feature on Squarespace is pretty neat and allows you to do a lot. So they also have a portfolio layout and function, but you can use the blog and portfolio pretty interchangeably. So we use a blog for our portfolio. And if that means nothing to you, no worries, but just know that you can change the way that you lay out blogs and display them, and the title can have different fonts, and you can search amongst the pieces that you put into them. And so that's a really cool feature of Squarespace. One other thing that I wanted to show you is that you can have this drop-down menu where you have, I have services, but you have different kinds of services, so you can have pages for each. And then in your header, you can display your social media icons, you can display your menu, and you can also display a button if you want to call out to people to say, hey, I want to put a contact button in the top right so that people's eyes are drawn to that. That's totally doable. One thing that I did want to say is like the 7.1 has its limitations, and Squarespace changes as it updates, and that's likely going to affect your site as well, and you really don't have any control over that. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. So one thing is like on Squarespace 7.1, there's no way to do two stacked navigation bars, or if you want to do a navigation bar on the right and the left with your logo in the center, you really have to finagle and code around it. So there's just lots of little things that you have to learn how to work around or that you have to compromise on. So Squarespace is a beautiful platform for users who want to be able to go in and edit and add. Like I have a lot of videographers or or shop owners who want to add products, they want to add reels, they want to add videos and work to their website, and they don't want to have to keep someone on retainer to do that. And that's one of my main reasons for using Squarespace and building on Squarespace, is that they can do that without having to pay someone to do it. I just have to send them a training video and say, this is how you input your content, and if you have any questions or doubt. But it's a lot of resources on the internet as well for updating your own site. So that's why I use Squarespace. And compared to some of the other site builders out there, I feel like the user experience behind the scenes is a little cleaner. And their design options are a lot more graceful. So that's kind of why it's my top pick right now. And I have aspirations for learning some of the bigger boys. I have not a ton of experience with coding. Myself, I've learned it as I've gone on with building sites. But I do want to learn Webflow eventually. But yeah, so that's why I use Squarespace. And I hope you liked this video. And I hope you have a better idea of what's possible.